listening again. Uh, Tonight we're having interpretation provided by Response Crisis Translation with Christelle and Danielle serving us as interpreters. Thank you as always. If you're watching on the Chokarella and Facebook Live and you need translation, please join us on Zoom using the link pinned in the comments. As always. Bonsoir tout le monde, merci de présence sous programmation à la fois en créole et en anglais avec Elle Respond Crisis Translation, Christelle avec Daniel, observez-nous comme interprète. Et comme on connaît déjà, si vous suivez nous sur Chokarella ou bien sur Facebook Live et au besoin de traduction, tant pis, rejoignez-nous sur Zoom ou joindre interprétation là et le lien directement en bas, premier commentaire. Merci un pile, Daniel, avec Christelle, m'invitez nous expliquer groupe là comment ça a fonctionné. Merci. Christelle?
Hello. Thank you. Thank you, Naomi. Good evening, everyone. So I'm just gonna explain how to access the interpretation both in English and in Creole. So today we will be using the Zoom interpretation function, which will be activated in a few minutes. If you're using a computer, you will see a globe icon at the bottom of your screen. If you are on a tablet or phone, click on More or the three dots, and you will see a menu that includes an option called Language Interpretation. To listen to interpretation and to the interpretation, click on the globe icon or Language Interpretation. Then choose your language channel if you are using a phone or a tablet. Afterwards, click Done. If you can hear the interpreter on your channel, please ask for help. If you can't hear, apologies, the interpreter on your channel, please ask for help in the chat or raise your hand. Help us promote language justice. Speak slowly and clearly, especially if you are reading a text or document. Mute your mic when you aren't speaking. If you do not understand all languages spoken in this space, please join the English channel. If you join a language channel, only speak the language on that channel. Jodi a nou pral itilize fonksyon interpretasyon sou Zoom nan, ki pral aktive nan ou mouman. Si wap itilize yon ordinate, wap wè yon ikon globe nan pati an ba ekran a droite. Si ou sou yon tablet ou sou yon téléphone, cliquez sous plus ou soit trois petits points yo, et puis wap wè yon menu qui gen là-dedans yon option qui rele interprétation langue. Pour côté interprétation, cliquez sur l'icône globe là ou soit sur interprétation langue. Après ça, choisis langue canal ou. Si vous utilisez un téléphone ou sur une tablette, cliquez sur Fini. Si ou pas qu'attendre interprète là sur canal 1, demandez aide dans le chat là ou soit lever main. Aidez-nous à encourager justice linguistique. Parlez doucement, parlez clair, surtout si vous appelez un texte, un document. Fermez microphone ou là ou pas parler. Si vous pas comprendre toute langue parler dans l'espace ça, tant pis rentrer dans canal anglais. Si vous rentrez dans un canal langue, parlez langue canal là seulement. Merci.
Merci un pile, Christelle. Merci, merci. Ah, OK. Aswea, m'a dit nous bienvenue dans Rebrase. Yon série chita parler sur affaires qui concernaient Haïti que Haiti Response Coalition portait pour nous. Nos PAM, c'est Naomie Labaty et c'est un plaisir pour moi là encore une autre fois avec nous. Avant de commencer, moi t'aimerais inviter nous pour un moment pour nous réfléchir sur ce qui a passé en Haïti parce que bagayo jusqu'à présent très grave. Nous ca nous en 15 minutes de 15 secondes de silence, s'il vous plaît. Merci. Et n'a voyé un pile en mot solidarité, courage et énergie positive pour pays nous qui passé travail. Ok, objectif ASOEA, c'est mettre lumière sur Haïtiens et vrais amis Haïti qui ont travail pour plus bien comprendre qualité de vie pays a passé et pays a petit a passé qui tu en dedans ou bien qui tu dehors et en même temps redéfinir, je nous parler de Haïti. N'a profité pour nous remercier partenaires nous, Haitian American Foundation for Democracy, Haitian Bridge Alliance, Roots of Development, Universite des Atlantes, Chokarella, avec HRC qui aide rendre programme ça possible. Et n'a pas rappelé nous, si nous avons des questions, tant pis utiliser section Q&A qui est en bas Zoom nan, et puis aussi dans commentaire qui sur live Facebook yo capable de poser questions et puis n'a pas essayé répondre yo. Pas hésiter à poser. Merci Melinda avec NJKP prend soin de ça pour nous. Thème nous aujourd'hui, hein, c'est un thème qui est très chargé. C'est côté nous aujourd'hui et mise à jour sur ça qui a passé dans l'immigration États-Unis pour Haïti. So, nous certainement n'a su ça qui a passé dans l'immigration dans l'administration président jodi a, li affecté nous, gen pile nouvelle pour nous parler de yo, gen pile décision qu'a prend et moun yo pas vraiment clair de côté pour yo joindre bonne information que yo ka confier. So jodi a Haiti Response Coalition, on l'autre fois encore parce que c'est deuxième fois qu'on a parlé de sujet ça, rassembler experts, avocats avec l'autre activistes pour nous discuter sujet ça. So, jeudi, nous rassembler avec nous Galine Joseph, qui est un avocat droit moun, et un leader qui est stratégique, qui dédié pour porter conscientisation sur problème qui affecte tout Haïtien localement, globalement, immigration, violence domestique, abus sexuels sur Timoun et l'autre problème droit moun. Galine, c'est fondateur et directeur exécutif de Haitian American Bridge Alliance. Nous dit merci d'être là avec nous à ce pas trop durer. Et nous avons aussi avec nous Dr. Shelley Plantain, qui est CEO de U-Turn Youth Consulting Firm et auteur de Backstory of a New Reality. Il dirige atelier qui adresse les problèmes de l'école et prison, violence jeunes et aussi injustice systémique. Et Dr. Plantain a dirigé programme prévention jeune et il a aidé des fonds de famille qui a fait face à des défis institutionnels. Merci aussi, Dr. Plantain. Et puis, bien sûr, nous avons une modératrice, Sandra Denis, qui est directeur exécutif de Miami Workers Center, une organisation qui est dirigée par membres qui est organisée pour dignité, pouvoir et autodétermination avec travailleurs domestiques et familles en Miami. Merci. On l'autre fois encore, Sandra, d'être venue pour aider nous diriger et conversation ça. Et aussi, nous gagnons ensemble avec nous un petit moment Patricia Élysée, qui c'est maître cabinet Élysée firm. Let's see. I have that in English, so sorry. Her legal career began with helping immigrant victims of domestic violence obtain immigration benefits as a legal core fellow at the Americans for Immigrants Justice, a local immigration for nonprofit. And in 2012, over 10 years now, she opened her own law firm dedicated to helping immigrants navigate the complicated U.S. immigration system. So, tout le monde qui l'a yo, merci panel nous yo, expert nous yo, n'a dit nous merci parce que nous dépendons de nous pour nous capable bien tacler sujet ça. Ma baille Sandra la parole. Sandra, floor is yours. Merci en pile.
Merci en pile. Thank you so much for the invitation and the opportunity to share this knowledge with our community. we know that knowledge is power, but good knowledge is even more powerful. And so I'm excited to be here with the experts. I'm going to invite people again to use the chat for your questions that you may have so that I can see them, and then also so that folks who are providing support to the Zoom today can address your questions. Also, just want to ground us in what we're experiencing here in these United States of America. There are so many changes every day, and so it could be quite difficult for even us, folks who are English might be our first language, maybe born in the country. It's even difficult for us to keep up. So I can't imagine what community members might be experiencing, but we're excited that we have experts, Timon Lakai, people who are of Haitian community, who have the expertise, who have experience, and can really help our community navigate uncertain times. And so with that, I want to turn to our good friend Gerline, who is going to share. We'll start with Gerline actually, but we're going to go invite Patricia to also join the conversation and give us updates on what's happening with the Biden program. That's what the people call it. So that's what I'm going to call it, the Biden program. What's happening with Mun Bidennial, what's happening with TPS as well. So I know there's been some updates to TPS. Want to get your updates. So I'll turn to you, Gerline.
Thank you so much, Centra. Thank you so much, everyone.
Wow.
Apologies, I cannot be on camera, and my voice is not too good, but I wanted to make sure that I join you all today, especially to be able to speak to our community, to give them some information, to make sure that they understand what is happening. So here we are. As Sintra mentioned, and we really are in a time we have never been before. We've seen the dangers our parents have experienced, hardships, but nothing quite as what we are experiencing right now, where we have an administration that their main goal is to create fear. Their main goal is to create trauma and chaos within communities of color, specifically understanding that immigration have been used as a weapon to create other things. But we also see this as an opportunity to be able to come together. And before I start talking about the program Biden, which is the CHNV Parole Program for Cuba, Haiti, Venezuela, and Nicaragua, I want the Haitian community, the Haitian American community, Friends of Haiti, to really understand that right now, we are no longer in a space environment where the prejudice that we carry within the community, hello, my Haitian people, people of Haitian descent, that the prejudice we carry by calling people Mun Bidenyo, right? Mun TPSyo, trying to think that we are in a better position because we might have a green card, or we might be a naturalized citizen or a first generation Haitian American, those of us who are born in the US. We are at a time where we are all on the same boat. They are looking into the Mun Bidenyo, that we call them, the police who came under the CHNV parole program. Right now, we have good news because we just won our lawsuit on behalf of the CHNV parole program in Haitian Bridge Alliance as a plaintiff with people from different countries, including Cuba, Venezuela, Nicaragua, Ukraine, and others. We were represented by two law firm, the Justice Action Center, that is here in California, and Human Rights and Human Watch and Human Right First. So these are the two law firms, organizations that represented the Haitian Bridge Alliance and the other plaintiffs in the case for CHNV parole program. We went to court in Boston, Massachusetts, and the judge ruled in our favor. What that means, first of all, to avoid confusion, please, it really covers people who entered with the CHNV parole program, and as many people received a letter from the US government, from USCIS, telling them that they had to leave the country by April 23rd, 24 of this year. So by this week, right? We all knew, people received the letter that created panic and trauma within the community. And so we went to court, and the judge really listened to both parties, our group in the government, and was able to understand the need to really rule in favor of the Haitian Bridge Alliance and our co-plaintiffs, which then covers everyone who came into the Biden program. So basically, the people who have received that letter, now they are safe. They no longer have to flee the country this week. But we want to clarify that people who, and I know Friendly and Elise will be able to get more into the legality of what that means. And I am really begging people to reach out to attorneys, reputable attorneys. Ok, moun ki pa pral vole l'argent nou, ki pa pral ba nou mauvais conseil, organisation avec avocat de bonne réputation pour nous contacter pour ba nous plus information parce que chaque cas différent. So basically what that does is, if you came into the Biden program in March of 2023, it is a 2-year program. Now we are March 2025. That means you have run the course of the program, and the program is not being renewed. So just to clarify, the lawsuit and the ruling in favor of CHNV does not mean that the program is now renewed. It covers people who still are under the period of the program, who have received the letter and have been asked to leave the country. That's why we have been begging the people from the beginning, because we, the Haitian Bridge Alliance, sat down with the Biden administration to make sure that Haiti was included in the program, to make sure that we were on the table, to make sure that the CHNV program happened. So this is very dear to us because we were part of the creating of the program and the implementation of the program. So basically, right now, we are begging people to continue to find other relief that they might be able to get. We've been begging people to apply for TPS as soon as they got to the United States, those who are able who are eligible for it, to begging people to see if they may qualify for asylum and family unification and other type of relief that might be available to them. Sandra, there are many other things we need to talk about, but I wanted to kind of really talk about the program Biden, the CHNV program where we are right now. What does the ruling means to avoid the misunderstanding and the confusion within the community? But I would like to talk more about CBP1, about TPS, about people who are fleeing into Canada. what we are seeing, people who are being detained, etc., etc. But
Yeah.
let me stop right now so that we can close a loop on the CHNV program.
Thank you so much. So much appreciation for you, Gerline. I'm sure you're exhausted, so we want to honor all of the amazing work that you and your team are doing, holding our communities down during this period. I want to invite Patricia to join the conversation to talk about any other legal updates. I'm sure you're aware of TPS updates as well as rumors or myths that you've been hearing. I want to just right before you come in, just double down that Gerline is sharing with us that we actually have to know who our reputable sources are in our community. It's not because people have access to a radio, it's not because they have a television show, not because they have a WhatsApp page, a WhatsApp account, or a Instagram page that they are actually experts in their field. And so making sure that we know that. And so we're excited to have partners and folks on the call like you, Patricia and Gerline, Dr. Shirley as well, who can actually give reputable information that's factual, that is proven, right? And so, yeah, invite you in to talk about what other updates should the community be made aware of.
Alors, merci beaucoup, Sandra, que moi là avec nous et moi très, très content que Gerline souligne là, c'est un monde que toute communauté a respecté et que moi-même j'ai respecté personnellement. So, c'est avec plaisir que moi là, comme avocat, pour avoir plus d'explications. Premièrement, il faut que nous comprenions l'information que nous avons aujourd'hui, c'est des informations générales. So, moi d'accord avec Gerline et moi vraiment souligner quelques points que l'il fait. C'est premièrement, faut que nous vraiment consulter un avocat qui cachita avec nous pour vraiment garder dossier nous. So, c'est pas que m'a dit nous à payer un pile corps ou bien chercher un avocat qui cher ou bien un pile avocat dans la communauté, un pile organisation, me connaît que au moins en Floride, there's the Haitian Lawyers Association, Association des avocats haïtiens en Floride, qui aide un pile monde avec problème d'immigration. Mais les important pour nous comprendre, le système ici aux États-Unis est différent de système haïtien, il est différent de système brésilien, il est différent de l'autre pays. Ici aux États-Unis, il y a une grande différence entre un avocat qui a une licence et un notaire qui n'est pas un avocat. OK? Faut que nous comprenions ici aux États-Unis, chaque État, so État Floride, État New York, État New Jersey, chaque État yo gen un barreau côté que nous ka vérifier si avocat gen une licence qui crédible que nous ka vraiment compter sur mon là pour aider nous. OK?
Credibility of the lawyer who wants like to really help. So getting share like a new information about the CHNV Power program, what we call like the Biden program in the community.
So, pour que nous clairs au niveau légal, qui ça veut dire ça qu'a privé ces jours-ci avec dossier le tribunal. Là. So, comme nous connaissons le 14 avril, il y a un juge fédéral dans Boston hein, qui vraiment bloqué ça que nouveau administration t'a essayé faire. So, President Trump avec administration en mars, ça que yo présenté un décret côté que yo dit que si statut légal Biden là toujours en cours pour yo même si que ou te gain 2 mois qui était ou 2 ans qui était ou OK parce que pas oublier là pour rentrer sous programme ça normalement ou gain au maximum de 2 ans et au cas vérifier sous permis de séjour là qu'il est un année folle là pour administration hein, yo te voulait faire plus facile, yo te voulait faciliter pour que agent immigration yo ka expédier déportation de plus de monde possible. So à cause de ça, yo te ba un décret que tout statut parole yo t'a terminé le 24 avril. Alors grâce à travail qui était fait devant le juge fédéral, yo connait there's a stay of removal qui veut dire there's a stay of the decree qui veut dire que et même immigration reconnaît ça parce que qu'on y a un signal sur uscis.gov qui website immigration formelle là n'a pas qu'on que immigration reconnaît que tout le monde qui entre sous un statut parole Biden ou bien humanitarian parole sous programme CHNV, hein, y a respecté date qui était sous permis de séjour, yo. OK? Qui est très important. So, li important pour que nous regardions pour nous, exactement comme Gerline dit, est-ce que nous avons qualifié pour l'autre statut? So, il était souligné TPS, et ça qui parle, que TPS est une option pour le monde, mais ce n'est pas tout le monde qui a qualifié pour TPS. Alors, pas oublier, TPS, c'est qui ça que lié. TPS veut dire Temporary Protected Status, c'est un statut qui est temporaire et ce n'est pas tout le monde qui a qualifié pour lui. Premièrement, il faut que le pays sur liste là. Grâce à Dieu, Haïti sur liste là. Mais pour qualifier, il faut qu'on montre côté entré aux États-Unis, côté habité ici depuis avant juin 2024. Alors, tout Haïtien, même si vous êtes entré par CBP1 ou bien ou pas entré avec aucun permis ou bien ou entré sous le programme Biden ou bien entré n'importe quel visa, depuis qu'on a montré que vous êtes ici aux États-Unis, ça c'est une bail qui clé, depuis avant le 3 juin 2024, vous avez qualifié profil pour TPS. Avec TPS, là, c'est un statut temporaire, côté que si que vous approuvez, vous avez une sorte de protection contre déportation. Mais il faut que nous comprenions que ce n'est pas un bagage qui est automatique, qui prend temps. Et avec l'administration Trump, là, pour eux-mêmes, ils voulaient annuler plus de programmes possibles pour plusieurs pays possibles qui gagnent TPS, parce que ce n'est pas Haïti seulement qui gagne TPS. Venezuela gagne TPS, Ukraine gagne TPS, El Salvador gagne TPS, il y a plusieurs différents pays qui gagnent TPS. Donc, c'est jusqu'à 17 pays différents. Raison pour laquelle l'administration veut suspendre plus de programmes possibles pour TPS, c'est parce que d'après eux-mêmes, TPS veut dire Temporary Protected Status, c'est un bail qui normalement qui est supposé temporaire. So, ils n'ont pas comprendre et ils n'ont pas d'accord que statut ça, il y a renouvelé chaque 18 mois, chaque année, etc. Si vous voulez réduire pour que vraiment ils honorent définition temporaire là. Mais pas oublier que c'est la deuxième fois que l'administration Trump là, a essayé d'annuler TPS parce que c'était essayé de faire la première fois. Et il y a plusieurs groupes qui étaient menés devant juge et le juge n'a pas de possibilité pour te cancel ou bien pour te fermer tout programme TPS. So, c'est une deuxième fois que Kounia, son niveau plus agressif, que l'a essayé d'annuler le dossier TPS. So, pour Haïti, pour Haïtiens qui gagnent TPS, normalement, TPS il faut que il a expiré en février de 2026, mais l'administration prend un décret que vous voulez que TPS a fini en août 2025. Il y a des différents dossiers en cours. JODI, devant des juges fédéraux, pour que nous avons une décision pour regarder pour voir est-ce que façon que l'administration prend décision, ça, c'est en façon légale ou pas. So, nous souhaitons que nous joignions une réponse positive parce que nous sommes déjà dans l'autre communauté, par exemple, la communauté vénézuélienne, il y a un juge qui dit que des cas que tu prends pour eux, tu suspends TPS pour Venezuela façon que tu prends des séances, ils pas bien prendre. So, nous souhaitons que nous ayons une réponse positive pour Haïtiens avant août année ça, pour que nous connaissions qui côté que nous garde avec le programme TPS. Je ne sais pas si Galine voulait ajouter plus de détails ou bien.
Ok, merci en pile, Maître Élisée. Moi capable bay plus de détails, on ti mise à jour sur cause TPS là. Et même gens que pour cas CHNV, lorsque CHNV, Haitian Bridge Alliance, c'est un plaintif. Pour cas TPS là, Haitian Bridge Alliance, c'est eux même qui représenté, yo don co-counsel. Égal, là, nous faisons lawsuit, nous avons droit plaintif ou bien nous avons droit co-counsel, ce qui veut dire nous fait partie équipe légale qui a bataille sous cause ya. Alors, pour TPS là, Haitian Bridge Alliance, nous sommes un co-counsel avec ACLU Southern California, ACLU Northern California, et puis Endelon avec ACLU UCLA. So, il y a 5 organisations qui mettaient ensemble pour représenter KTPS là comme co-counsel devant juge par bon ici dans Californie. Il y a 3 lawsuits qui fait sous cause TPS. Il y a une dans Californie, il y a une dans New York, il y a une dans Massachusetts. Dans le cas californien, et comme nous représentons, nous sommes un groupe avocat qui représente Venezuela, et comme Haitian Bridge Alliance, c'est une organisation qui a commencé campagne pour TPS pour Venezuela, nous avons représenté organisation qui est les TPSA qui couvre un pile et pays qui gagnent TPS. Alors, nous te devant juge, et juge là, te bail, ruling, te bail, décision en faveur nous, côté que li campé sous décision que nous a continué avec protection pour moun qui Venezuela. Et le juge là te fin bay décision ça, gouvernement te fait un appel et nous gagnons appel là tout. Ce qui veut dire pour qu'on y là, nous gagnons un gros cas pour Venezuela yo. Et ça que nous te vin fait, nous te vini mettre ensemble avec Venezuela en bas même cas Haïti. Alors Haïti avec Venezuela, yo nan même cas devant même juge dans Californie. Ça qui beau sous cause ça, c'est que juge là prend même considération que yo te fait pour Venezuela et yo déjà ouais clairement que gouvernement pas de droit pour l'État diminuer la quantité de temps que nous gagnons pour TPS pour Haïti. Alors nous avons continué bataille pour nous capable rassurer que juge la bayon yon décision qui favorable sur cause TPS pour Haïti à tout. Mais même gens que M. Élisée dit nous, c'est que pour qu'on y a bataille là, c'est pour kembe TPS pour jusqu'à ce que l'arrivée en 2026. Mais nous connaissons que bataille pour renouvellement, ça c'est une autre bataille que liée. OK? Et c'est une bataille qui prend plus difficile toujours parce que même en bas président Biden, c'était un pile bataille pour être capable non seulement renouveler mais redésigner TPS pour moun qui pas de Alors même gens avec cause CHNV pour TPS là, victoire que nous gagnons, c'est une victoire pour moun qui gagne déjà. C'est pas une victoire qui dit moun qui pas ko gagne pral gagne. Nous voulons clarifier ça pour moun yo. Moi capable camper sous ça sur cause TPS là, mais moi ta remet tout pour nous faire un petit parler sous cause CBPE, sous cause déportation avec danger qui pendait sous tête moun qui a essayé courir aller dans pays Canada.
So yes, on continue ça après ça n'a Dr. Shirley. So comme c'est créole n'a parlé créole.
Ok, pas de problème. Bon, parce que sous cause de TPS, il y a un pile bagay, il y a un pile discussion que nous avons continué, même qu'on est que nous pas un pile temps, et nous avons tout que nous avons quelques informations sur le programme, so nous avons continué. Si nous avons des questions, nous avons toujours mettre dans le chat là, et nous avons essayé de répondre après. OK, alors, pour CBP1, ça que moi voulais expliquer, c'est qu'il y a un pile haïtien qui pas vraiment comprendre programme CBP1 là. OK? Mwen wè ke an pil moun victime parce que yo entre sou CBP1 nan parce que yo pat gen possibilité pour yo entre l'autre façon. Et malheureusement, depuis ou entre sous CBP1, ou gen une forte possibilité pour que l'immigration te commencé un dossier de déportation contre vous-même. So oui, si vous entrez par CBP1, vous entrez avec un permis de séjour, ou entrez avec un I-94, ou avez une possibilité d'entrer légale, ou qualifié pour plusieurs bagailles, mais malheureusement, il a commencé un dossier de déportation côté que vous avez rendez-vous avec un juge immigration. Kounien pour plaider cause pour que ou ka présenter un dossier de résidence, un dossier d'asile, ou l'autre sorte de dossier. Encore, pour nous souligner, il est très important que, et spécialement si on a fait dossier asile ou dossier résidence, que nous travaillons avec un avocat qui assure que le dossier est bien monté, right? Parce que le dernier bagage que nous voulons faire, c'est nous bailler dossier, nous bailler l'autre monde. Qu'est-ce que ça veut dire? Moi, je trouve qu'il y a un pile haïtien qui est rentré et yo expliqué moi ou mettre pas de connaît internet yo met ça yo vle dans papier moi signé et pas de connaît qui ça yo t'a dit qu'on y a plus problème jodi a. So pas oublier aux États-Unis depuis qu'on signe un papier ou sermenté ou a bien responsabilité ça que yo mette dans papier a. Et si juge dans lui-même ou officier immigration ouais que information te frivileux, c'est ou même qui a un problème avec dossier. So, faut faire très, très, très attention. Nous connaissons que le président Trump lui-même, non seulement il ferme programme CBP1, il crée un nouveau programme pour remplacer le qui est le CBP Home. So, même app là, ou bien même app fonction côté que nous avons utilisé pour demander un rendez-vous pour entrer ici, right? Qu'on y a une app qui remplace le côté que y a essayé de mettre plus pression possible sur les immigrants pour y déporter tête pour y aller. C'est un point que Gerline t'a fait, nous t'a fait commencer à causer. L'administration, ça malheureusement vraiment a essayé de mettre plus pression possible, plus crainte possible dans la communauté immigrante. C'est comme si chaque route qu'un immigrant a cherché, il a essayé de coincer immigrant côté que l'immigrant trouvé il pas aucun choix, l'obliger à retourner la caille. OK? Pour qui ça comment dit ça par exemple ou entrer sous programme humanitaire, ils ont essayé de couper le 30 jours. Ça, c'est une pression. OK? Quand il y a un dossier à le tribunal, ils ont retiré ça, ils ont fait une pression faite déjà. Il y a un peu de monde qui quitte le pays déjà. Il y a un peu de monde qui tourne Haïti par au Cap. Il y a un peu de monde qui a essayé de monter au Canada, comme Gerline dit, pour joindre asile Canada. So, de plus en plus, gen TPS, APC, TPS, gen travail, etc. So, ces jours-ci, il faut nous faire très, très, très attention avant que nous courions faire quelques bagailles à cause de pression que nous avons subi. Il est important pour nous vraiment chita avec un avocat, chita avec un monde qui connaît, chita avec un professionnel qui vraiment peut guider nous pour nous connaître exactement ce que nous avons fait. Si nous avons intention d'aller au Canada, nous-mêmes, nous professionnels aux États-Unis, il est important que nous contactions un professionnel, un avocat immigration Canada pour être sûr et certain que vous avez gardé le dossier avant que vous preniez décision de prendre route pour le Canada. OK? Et il faut que nous comprenions sur un niveau logique tout ça qui a passé. Nous prenons route pour frontière entre les États-Unis et le Canada. Il y a deux personnes qui arrivent dans la frontière, là. Malheureusement, ils ne sont pas qualifiés pour une raison ou l'autre pour entrer au Canada. qui veut dire que officier immigration canadien yo refusé que yo entre à cause d'un problème là avec papier yo, bien yo pas qualifié, etc. Mais qui est-ce qui l'en frontière là? C'est officier immigration yo. So si Canada pas quitté rentrer, il y a pour mettre la main officier immigration des États-Unis qui ICE. So ces jours-ci, c'est une façon que moi ouais gen plusieurs familles haïtiennes que yo kouni an la déportation, le dossier de déportation parce que yo essayé rentrer Canada et yo pas préparé. Et c'est là que officier immigration yo kembe yo pour yo expédier en déportation.
Mhm. Merci en pile. So many things are coming up for me, and there's so many questions. And so I want to invite Dr. Shirley to come in on the conversation. There are so many things that we can talk about in terms of one, I'm going to always say as a community organizer, elections have consequences. Also, it is really important for, again, before people make decisions, I'm so excited that you said that. I'm so happy you said that, Patricia, that we people are consulting with experts in the field before they make decisions versus after a decision has already been made that might have severe implications not only for them but for their families as well. And so again, want to talk to the community. There's so many expertise, so many folks with expertise, experience who are lawyers. I'm so excited. I just came from the Haitian Lawyers Association Gala. So many attorneys in our community. Many of them are immigration attorneys, but if folks can talk to them before making decisions, I think that everything that you just said. Dr. Shirley, what's happening in the community? What are you sensing? What are you hearing? How are folks feeling? We not only want to talk about what the adults are experiencing, but how are kids who are navigating this system as well? What are you hearing? What are you seeing?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, IT Response Coalition, for the invitation. Always good to be on with badass women. So Patricia, Sancha, Gillian, you guys know y'all rock. Patricia, you do amazing work online. I think that reputable piece about meeting the people where they are, chapeau bas to you. Gillian, hands off, I can't even compare. But I do want to stress that the fear is real, and I think at this point we are beyond saying that. Ou bien nous dire, et puis tout le monde pense that it's no big deal. But là que arrivé non point Sandra, que my bon example that I have a school and I won't identify where it is, but I have a school that had 31 kids attending school, small school, it's an early education, and 27 of those kids have not been to school since all of this started. So that is just one of the ways that we're seeing it. I want to address that a part of fear being real, it also is creating this gloom, right? That mental health piece, ni pour jeune, ni pour petit monde, ni pour grand monde, parce que le qu'on part on where you're going, what's next, it's hard to make plans. It's hard to navigate, même en tant qu'un grand monde, to just figure out what's next. So I think one of the things that I want us to be very mindful of is, so I want to address kind of four things that they asked me to address. And the first one will be the fear. It's the fear that our young people are seeing, the fear that they're feeling que yo même, yo peuple, yo pas vin prend yo. I often say that what we as adults talk about, young people are seeing it on their phones too, just without context, right? So it's coming up on their timeline. So when they're seeing it and we're hearing that schools are not safe and churches are not safe and hospitals are not safe, which are places that we've always taught children since they were little kids, that these are your safe spaces. So now when they're seeing that these spaces are no longer safe, there is this fear that they're going to be picked up in school. There's also the ideology that they're losing their parents. Okay, I may come home and the parents aren't here. And it's not far-fetched because in the first administration, we know that happened, parents drop kids off and we're not around when they came from school. So this whole concept of we're sending them back, especially with what we're seeing, that we're sending them with Venezuela to Venezuela, or we're sending them to El Salvador. These young people are watching that and they're fearful of that. We probably never even came from Haiti, or that's a long country that we've never been to since we were little kids. And you're now telling me that that's where I may be going back to. So those fears are real. and they're real to the point that they affect the way that these young people are navigating, even being here in the US. And the second point that I want to address is the confusion. When young people are confused, it makes it very hard for them to navigate, and they tend to make really, really bad decisions, beginning with how they speak online, beginning with how they speak to one another, their level of tolerance with one another. But I think the confusion for them is just finding many of these young people, because our communities don't necessarily always do a good job telling the kids. So a lot of these kids are finding out that they are undocumented, and they're finding out now in the process. Many of our young people are finding out, as we know, this is graduation season. So a lot of them are finding out when they're not able to apply for a lot of these scholarships that teachers have been pushing them, because teachers have been unaware of their statuses, because they've been unaware of their statuses. So we know that when we're talking about the Department of Education and all of that, there are a lot of these grants that students like you and I had a chance to benefit from, that this generation right now will not be able to benefit from, right? Even when we talk about the whole DEI. So when you're talking about first generational college student, first Black student, that is going to impact many of our kids, even those that are going to Miami-Dade, if not specifically those that are going to Miami-Dade. So then the third piece is this false reality. As I often like to say, we've been here before. What do I mean by that? In early 90s, when there was all of this talk about, we've seen this, there were buses in Little Haiti supposedly picking people up. That was actually the creation of Zopound. A lot of it was the creation of Zopound. So there's this idea that our young people, which baffles me, is that if I commit a crime, I get arrested, I won't get sent back to Haiti. And believe me when I tell you that you have a lot of these gang members, whether it be around scamming, whether it be around, some of our most violent crimes, they are actually committing criminal activities for fear of being repatriated back to their home country. And that by itself should say to us, what have we done? Because whether they do go back or they don't, we've created a whole nother level of juveniles. I hate the word delinquents, but since that's the word that the system utilizes, because it's a label. But what happens is, a lot of people don't realize, ICE has made it very clear, if they're at the juvenile detention center and we call for them, you got to turn them over. So there isn't any protection for them for real. But because they're not getting it from reputable organizations, they're not getting it from reputable attorneys. And again, I'm going to be the first one to say, many of our people know they got no business talking about the law, but they the ones talking about it. But that's a whole nother conversation for another day. Look at Sandra's face. But then we also need to talk about the mental wellness of these young people, right? We are actually putting a lot of our young people in positions to translate documentation, to explain adult stuff that attorneys have to be licensed to do, to try to explain to parents who don't speak the language. So these young people are trying to navigate themselves as well as their families, right? And what happens, we're having these whole conversation. Okay, well, if you get deported, what happens? Who am I going to? Like, these conversations about assets and who do I turn to? It is real, because these young people are feeling it. And then the shame that these young people are figuring out, oh, I'm undocumented. I don't want to tell anybody I'm undocumented. So now you've got Haitian kids walking around with that same level of shame that they had back in the 1990s, right? Back when we were doing many of this Haitian beatdown days. And then the last point I want to address, as far as the 4-point, and then the 5th one will be the self-care part that you all want me to address, is really talking about belonging. And as adults, we know if we're not sure where we belong, we feel unstable. We feel as though the world is crumbling. So imagine how that feels to a young person who thought that they were American because they didn't know the truth, or thought they were documented in any fashion, way, or form. And now you're being told you're undocumented, and the possibility of going back to whatever country you think you should go back to. And now you're figuring out, where do I belong? Like, who am I? Am I American? Am I Haitian? The dignity in that humanity is being lost in this process. And I think both Gerline and Patricia addressed it head on. It's about being punitive. And the people who feel it the most are going to be the young people, because ultimately they're the ones with the less amount of resiliency. They're the ones with the less amount of resources. There's less spaces for them. You have more young people saying, well, what about us, right? Who's talking for us? Hence why we're hosting this We the People Summit on Friday, really addressing that piece beyond the politics. Where do our young people fit in? how do all of these policies, leave politics behind, but the policies, how are they going to impact our young folks? And what do we as a community look like? And then that fifth piece that I wanted to address is self-care, Sandra, and it really is in a 5-point perspective for me. One is whatever higher power you believe in, this would be the time to tap into that and stay connected, right? Because everything is coming at you. So you've got to be centered with something. And I'm not telling you that it needs to be Jesus Christ, like I believe, but whatever higher power you believe in, this might be the time that you want to constantly find something to center yourself. The second thing is, I beg of you, I implore you, put the phone down. Stop listening to WhatsApp. Stop listening to TikTok. Stop listening to Facebook. Stop listening, because majority of the people that claim to be these experts have no idea what they're talking about. They're getting it from somebody else, and oftentimes it gets missed in translation. And the third thing I will say, and I think it's been said over and over, seek assistance, legal advice from reputable attorneys. What does it mean to be reputable? It is someone like Patricia said, like Sandra said, like Gerline said, someone who can tell you exactly what to do, not because I just have a platform, right? Platforms are, anyone can have a platform, but someone who actually went to school to do that. And then the fourth thing I'll say is your village. Count on your village. Depend on the people who you know will have your back. Have these conversations. We're not good. My friend Sandra will often say, we're not good at having difficult discussions. We're not good at being uncomfortable, but we need to have plans, because we can't have the plan after you're gone. What will happen to the kid? What will happen to the house? What will happen to the business? We need to get comfortable as much as possible with being uncomfortable. And then the last thing I would say is repeat that cycle again, because we're in it for the long haul, and it is going to take all of us to get us from point A to point B.
That's right. We'd like to tell folks we're not even the first quarter. The first quarter of the 4 years would be the first year. And so we are
right
a quarter of the first quarter of the 4 years that this administration will have. Lots of valuable information. I want to thank you so much, Dr. Shirley, also Patricia and Gerline. There's so many questions, so I'm going to actually pivot into the questions. The first question we have, again, I know attorney Met Elise, we're going to give her the credit, shared that she is not y'all personal attorney.
That's right.
She is not your personal attorney. So she's giving general information today. We cannot give legal advice. I am not an attorney. I think I know a lot, but I am not an attorney. And so Tony Fleury asks, "Mwen ta reme konen ki sa mwen ka fe?" Mbap di, si yon moun entre nan program parole la, men kat travay li ap fini, el a aplike depi juye ane pase, yo poko jantande rien. Ki sa yo ka fe nan ka sa?
OK. So, malheureusement, avec USCIS qui agence Imigrasyon, OK, li très difficile pour que ou ka expédier un dossier. Et kounye gen un délai parce que président mette un délai sous tout dossier moun qui entre sous programme parole, sous programme humanitaire, sous programme Biden. So, yon la position que l'administration prend, c'est que tout le monde qui entre sous programme humanitaire, yo pas bien fait immigration, pas bien fait travail, là, que yo pas bien gardé pour yo they didn't vet them properly. Yo pas vraiment gardé toute information pour yo t'es sûr que moun nan t'es bien qualifié et yo t'es trouvé que t'es gen trop fraude dans dossier ça yo. À cause de ça, yo met en pause sur toute application que un immigrant qui entre sur programme Biden nan fil. So ça c'est application pour résidence. So mal rendez-vous dans USCIS et officier mal dit excusez maître, c'est pas ou même c'est pas client. Moi t'as bien voulu approuver dossier résidence ça moi pas capable parce que on pose sur tout dossier demande dans USCIS pour immigration pour n'importe monde qui entre sous programme Biden là. So c'est dossier résidence, dossier que travail, toute application. Mais I want to go back if you guys give me 2 minutes to really highlight something that Shirley said, and I want to say it in English because it's really focused on young Haitians, especially those who have been in the US for a long time or feel like they're really part of the US society and community. So it's very clear, especially now in the Trump administration, if you don't have a US passport, a certificate of naturalization, right? A birth certificate showing that you were here. It doesn't matter if you came here when you were 2 years old and now you're 45. It doesn't matter that you are at the top of your class. None of those things matter. It doesn't matter even if you're a green card holder, right? If you're not a US citizen, and we've seen this very clear, not only from Trump, but also from Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who's from South Florida, right? They've made it very clear. If you are not a US citizen, you do not have the right to be here in the US. You are not guaranteed to stay here. So you really want to take that seriously. If you are not a US citizen, you qualify for citizenship, but you haven't done it because you're so proud of being Haitian. That's great and all, but you may consider filing that citizenship application if you qualify. But before you file that application, make sure you get your case reviewed by an attorney. Why? I've never seen so many cases being denied for citizenship as right now. Currently, so citizenship is an opportunity for USCIS to review your entire file and to double check every little thing that was done before they approve you for citizenship. And we're seeing more and more denials. And as we know, if USCIS denies an application right now under the Trump administration, there's a high probability of your case being referred to removal proceedings. So we have people filing for citizenship who have been green card holders for a while. Turns out there was a mistake on their file. The green card was not properly received. The citizenship is denied, and now they're in front of an immigration judge facing deportation proceedings. So just be very mindful, seek advice, and just know the reality of the situation. And for green card holders, listen, guys, green card holders who use their green card as visas, this is not the time to be doing that anymore, right? If you are a green card holder, legally that means you're a lawful, permanent resident of the United States, not of Haiti, not of another country. Lawfully, you are to reside here. In prior administrations, you were able to get away with traveling a lot, faire va-et-vient. That is no longer the case. Green card holders who are spending too much time abroad are being stopped at the airport when they come back, and some of them are being detained. Why? They're low-hanging fruit. It's easier for USCIS, for CBP, for ICE, to focus on someone who qualifies for deportation at the airport versus have to go track them down. Be mindful of the status that you have and the rights that you have from that status.
There's a lot of questions. Thank you so much, Patricia, for those reflections. I'm going to continue with the questions. Here, Shirley. 27 out of 31 kids not showing up to early school from fear returning home of their parents, etc. They want to know, what data do we have on disappearance, deportations, abductions carried out by ICE, and where can we best go to find out the extent as well as the details? Who's collecting? So have y'all, anyone, I think the question is to anyone who can say, I think people can still track deportation flights, but I haven't seen any data. I don't know of any data points in terms of how many folks have been deported, where even like, I know there's in Miami market, people are asking questions about who's in Chrome. And so it's complicated, but Gerline, I see you off of mute.
What is the question? I just want to make sure I understand
The question is, what data do we have on disappearances, deportations, abductions carried out by ICE? And where
Okay,
can we find, and where can we best go to find out the extent as well as the details? Who's collecting?
okay, so on deportation flights, we have a very accurate number of flights and pretty good number of people who have been deported over the years. And I want to clarify something, that deportation to Haiti never stopped. And we have had so far 2 deportation flights under the current administration. It is a monthly flight, just like we had under the previous administration. So we don't want to get any confusion on what's happening. Um, uh, Disappearance, I would like to get some clarification on what the person means by that. The disappearance by whom, when, where.
My assumption is that some folks say deportations, people see it as being abducted. They see it all as the same.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So that's why I'm asking, because by the time people get deported, there are different ways they end up in immigration detention. So the current narrative of people being taken, that is following the kidnapping that many people call of folks, for like the students from Colombia and other high profile cases. We just want to make sure that we clarify certain things and the narrative that we use fits exactly what we mean. However, what we are experiencing right now, a lot of people who have gone to their ICE appointment do not go back home. Many people who have been called to show up for an appointment with ICE, USCIS, etc., may go and they do not go back home. That's why we are very much telling folks, encouraging them, begging them to, one, if they are able, reach out to us to let us know when they are going to an ICE appointment, so that at least we have an idea of where they are going, and if something were to happen, we are able to quickly communicate with their loved ones to see how we are able to support them. The Haitian Bridge Alliance, all of our services are free of charge. However, we are very limited on capacity. We can only take a very few number of cases. So we also have a form that we are asking everyone to fill out that allows us to quickly communicate updates, get information to people, and if they or their family members find themselves in ICE custody, we can quickly see what we can do to support. For example, we have heard multiple cases, and we have some of them who are currently in detention. We have seen a lot of folks in Florida who end up in Chrome after they went to their ICE check-in. We are seeing people with TPS who find themselves in ICE check-in. We are currently able to get people who already have their TPS. We are fighting cases to get them out. However, if you do not have any status, it makes it more difficult for anything to happen on your behalf. So what we are seeing, to clarify, is people who go to their ICE check-in, people who end up in even a traffic violation, they are being reported and turned over to ICE. People who are trying to flee the United States, trying to go to Canada, they are being stopped and turned over to ICE. And
really, where can folks find the data points? There
are no data points. So basically we are following, we are keeping an eye, we are creating data, but it is not going to be an official data point where you can just go and get that information. So right now, this is what we are doing. But for the deportation flights, we have that. We know that there were 47 people deported last month, a couple of weeks ago, and there's potentially another flight going to Haiti within the next week or so. So those numbers we are able to kind of have an idea, but other than that, it's really hard to find out.
Is there a website or something like that on the deportation flights either?
No, there isn't. We have one partner who continued to work on that, but unfortunately, he's about to retire, leaving the field completely open. So we are actually looking for someone who can become his mentee and train under him, who can hopefully be able to take over that because he will retire in May.
Okay, thank you so much. So there was a question about processing TPS application for CHNV. I believe Patricia already answered that in terms of a pause. So we're going to move to the next question. I'm sorry for the people who applied for TPS, who did fingerprinting and haven't been approved. This question did not say they applied for TPS through CHNV. So I don't know, Patricia or Gerline, whether or not the same rings true for processing of TPS applications. Is there a pause as well?
They haven't announced the formal pause, but we're definitely seeing a slowdown.
Okay.
Of those cases.
Thank you. Thank you. So slow down, pause. I think there's a similar question around. Actually, there are two questions. Gerline, you were talking about TPS and how it's a fight that will still have to go on. I'm sorry, I'm doing some live translation. If someone applied and never got an answer until it expires, would this person be considered if it's not redesignated? I hope that makes sense. So let's say someone applied for TPS, they never got an answer, the program got canceled. Would this person's application still be considered if it's not redesignated?
Well, as of right now, we have until February 2026. So whatever happens after that, we don't know how that will impact because most likely they will not agree to redesignate. They might not even continue the program. So therefore, all the people under TPS will become undocumented, as of right now, as of August 2025, but we are fighting to continue that until February 2026. So it is very complicated, it is very complex. There's not one set answer that we can give people. All we can tell you that we are fighting to find ways to protect folks who are here under different status and see what we can do. But yeah, for TPS, most likely we are not going to have a redesignation or extension even. But we know that Haiti continues to be in a chaotic struggle right now. So based on the country condition, we will try to make a case, but we also know that it's not going to be easy. Also want to highlight that President Trump just announced that they are considering Haiti gang designation, which is going to be another extreme fight ahead of us, because what that means is that we understood what's happening in Haiti. And what I've been trying to tell folks when we talk about gangs in Haiti, and Dr. Planté, who is an expert on that, we are not talking about the same thing. And we are viewing what's happening in Haiti, and we use the word gangs, but those are not gangs, right? So what will that mean for Haitian Americans or people of Haitian descent in the United States, or Haitian immigrants, once you can be, put in a category as associated with gangs and what that will do to the community and the deportation rate, et cetera, et cetera. So that is a conversation for another day, but wanted to highlight that, especially now that we have Dr. Plante here. That may be something we can arrange to have a deeper dive into.
Yeah, I got your back, Dr. Shirley.
I'll start.
Dr. Shirley has a conference on Friday. She can share the information with you all. Y'all are welcome to come. I think she also has one in October, where I'm sure you'll be talking about it. But it's interesting because what we see happening in the school system, I'm sure Dr. Shirley, you can inform more, is that if we're not careful, if someone gets into a fight, they a gang member. And now Haitian gangs are terrorist groups. I mean, that's what they're talking about right now. And so think about how quickly that can happen. And the second thing is around how many stories we're hearing about folks who are being accused about being gang members in Venezuelan gangs. And there's no record of them ever having criminal history. And so being mindful of like some things that we're like, oh yeah, this might take on the gangs. It actually might have many unintended consequences. And so again, we should be careful about who we're receiving information from, how they're explaining what is happening, and whether or not it's to our benefit or not. Because I've heard people talk about it as like a win, and I'm like, unclear that it should be talking about in that way.
No, and again, I'm so sorry. I feel like I'm taking this conversation in a whole different way, but this is what we are dealing with right now, and we want to make sure the community is very aware and educated. And for me, the designation of gangs, what's happening in Haiti, they are armed groups supported, funded. They are not gangs in the sense of Zopo, whatever they are called. Zopound in Miami or around the country. It's not the same as what's happening in Haiti, and the designation of gangs will definitely target our young men and women and put them in a pathway, a pipeline from school to deportation. So we have to be very mindful and careful about what we understand, what we support, and how we see things, and how it impacts our larger community. Let me stop here, and I would give it back to you all.
Dr. Shirley, let me do a rapid round just because I'm running out of time and there's a few other questions. So I'm gonna come back to you. Actually, if I can ask you to hold whatever you're gonna bring us into your final comments, if our panelists can begin to prepare their final comments, I'm gonna do a wraparound. These are immigration questions. So looking at you, Patricia and Gerline. So this question, they say it's for me, but it's not for me. Can people who arrived on a CHNV parole program, or should they, I'm sorry, I'm translating, should folks who came on the CHNV parole program continue to see judges until, I don't understand the question. I'm sorry, translator, I'm gonna read it in Creole. Est-ce que moun ki entre sou CHNV parole program lan dwe we ak jij tout en temps ke yo pase pa CBP fond pou yo te recevoir travel authorization?
What?
I'm gonna put it in the chat, the second part of the question, and then y'all tell me.
Est-ce que yo di, est-ce que moun te entre sou CHNV parole lan dwe we ak juge? Oh, okay. So the confusion is there is a part in the CHNV parole process that they use CBP1 app. It is not the same as the way the CBP1 app was used for people at the US-Mexico border. So people who use CBP1 app as a part of the CHNV parole program process have nothing to do with the people who were given access to get an appointment while they are in Mexico to enter into the United States via the border. So we want to clarify that because there might be a little confusion because the CBP1 app is also a part of the process for the CHNV parole program. So c'est deux bagages différents. Yon moun qui te vini dans CHNV parole programme et que CBP1 te fait partie dans processus, n'est-ce pas, que ou te fait partie là-dedans, c'est pas même causé avec moun qui te utilisé CBP1 pour yo capable sorti dans Mexique entrer par boy ici, le yo passé sous frontière là, le yo ba yo rendez-vous.
Et c'est pas même bagaille tout avec the Haitian Family Unification Parole Program, côté que yo t'es invité à entrer sous parole et yo t'es passé par app là. So yo tout différent, c'est pas même bagaille là.
Thank you so much. Curious about the work authorization that was attached to HHP. Is that valid since the judge stayed the order to cancel the program? My authorization, or perhaps if the authorization doesn't expire until December 2025.
So
go ahead.
Because of the federal judge's order, both the I-94s and the work permits based off of the humanitarian entries are valid up until the expiration.
Mm-hmm. Then I think si yon moun kat travay li fini, men li gen resi kat travay an ba TPS la, travay li toujou, hold on. Si yon moun kat travay li fini, men li gen resi kat travay an ba TPS la, travay li toujou kembel apre expiration parole li, eske li ka, could they be complicated with the law? Could that be an issue?
Faut parler avec un avocat parce que chaque dossier est différent. Pas quoi que nous pas répondre aujourd'hui, malheureusement.
Right. And then Bella Question, though, really good question. Spencer, last question is, if someone is eligible for TPS, applied for it, but never received it before it expired, how will that person be considered during a renewal or redesignation?
So if TPS is renewed or redesignated and your application is still pending, it will roll into the new cycle. So you're not going to have to file again. They'll just automatically have you take part in the new cycle.
Yes, those are the questions for today. I want to just say, before we hear last thoughts from our amazing panelists, as a community organizer, one of the things we typically say is, hope is a muscle. It is not something we take lightly. It's a discipline. And so I think about folks, Dr. Shirley named fear, Patricia named what people are experiencing at the border. Gerline is in the courtrooms fighting. And so much of this can feel daunting, but we also want to recognize that we are people who resist. Shirley mentioned we should be a part of communities. So be a part of a community, find your people, love on each other, limit your news, but also ask yourself, how can you be a part of the solution? And also want to name for American citizens, how can we support our brothers and sisters in a moment? Because we absolutely have a role to play. And so also want to call us in to kind of begin to strategize and to think about how we can be in solidarity with people who are experiencing the brunt of it in this moment. I want to turn to our panelists. Patricia, any final comments from you? What do you want to say to our people?
There's one point that I think is really important that we're not really discussing in our community is the fact that immigration law has not changed, folks. It's the same law. Since Trump has taken office, there's been one change, which is the Reagan-Riley Act that he passed, right? But everything else is the same on paper. The laws on the books are the same. Loi Imigrasyon aux États-Unis pas changé sous Trump. OK? C'est majorité loi eux-mêmes, c'est une seule loi qui change, which is the Reagan-Riley Act. Si nous bien regarder tout changement yo, c'est façon que li gen priorité kounyan avec administration parle. c'est discrétion qui change. C'est façon que yo même y a implémenté loi qui là yo. So loi yo pas changé. C'est très important que nous comprenions ça. Ça, c'est le premier bagage. Deuxième tout, comme Dr. Shirley dit, Amérique, depuis que ou gen moun ki américain, faut que yo vote. You have to vote. Faut que nous participer dans l'élection. Parce que moun qui a changé loi yo, c'est pas président, c'est congrès. OK? Et l'année prochaine, nous pral gen élection. Il est très, très important que nous participions pour nous gagner une chance. Tout le monde qui a prié que y a un programme pour les gens qui entrent sous Biden, ou bien il y a un programme pour les gens qui sont sous TPS, ou bien il y a un programme pour les gens qui sont Dakar, c'est le Congrès qui a présenté la loi, ça, c'est pas président. Faut que nous participions. Faut que nous participions dans l'élection de cette façon. Loi a changé et qu'on y a administration lui-même, c'est lui-même qui a implémenté la loi. But,
Oh, beautiful. Beautifully said. Dr. Shirley.
I'll keep mine short. I think Patricia raised a valid point. Panelists Gerline was talking about the gangs, and I want everybody to understand that right now that term gang is a fully loaded term because of the Rankin-Riley Act. It actually gives it's almost like a pathway to say everyone's a gang member, right? As long as you are undocumented or as long as you are an immigrant, the potential for you to be a gang member, it's really, we have to be very, very careful with where that's going. The other point that I want to raise, I really want to remind people that here in Miami-Dade County in the state of Florida, all of the sheriff's departments have signed on to do the work, to be part of this ICE task force, right? So that would mean we are begging you, make sure your driver's license is correct. We know that many people in the Haitian community are not talking about the federal Real ID law that's going to become a reality May 7th, 2 weeks from now. Your IDs need to be correct. Your paperwork needs to be correct because all it's going to take is a stop by one of these sheriff's officers, by a Florida trooper, and several of the local municipalities have also signed on to be part of this task force. So it's not going to take much for you to interact and find yourself in, some real interesting positions.
That's right. Dr. Madam Gerline, let's close. You want to close us out? Close out the panel.
All right. Thank you so much. It's been a blessing to be with you all. I pray for protection upon the community. I pray for guidance and wisdom as we continue to swim through this chaos. Please know that we at the Haitian Bridge Alliance, we will continue to fight with and for you, no matter where that is. We have multiple lawsuits. We have multiple issues that we are tackling. We'll continue to do so. We are asking, as Centra mentioned, for the community to understand that our immigration status, our citizenship status does not protect us. Whether you are a T. Biden who just came or you was born first generation, our immigration status does not protect us. So we are making sure that we stand on that. We know that there are a lot of Haitians driving around. If you do not have the proper license, even if Jesus came to your dreams and give you a car, run away. Please do not drive without the proper documentation because that is one of the easiest way for you to get into trouble and potentially be deported. Right now, people who have TPS, who have CHNV, even people who came on CBP-1 at the U.S.-Mexico border, there are certain protection for you. Do not try to make harsh decision. We understand the trauma, we understand the fear, but please make sure, even those who are thinking about going to Canada, make sure you understand the risks. Make sure you speak with an attorney in Canada, not an attorney in the US. If you are planning on going to Canada, somebody in Canada, so you can understand their immigration process there. We are hearing a lot of rumors of potential groups of people heading to Canada. So right now, CHNV, TPS are protected. We are continuing to fight, but please understand this is our moment for l'Union fait la force. This is our moment for Empilment Chai Palou. And please understand that our very existence is an act of resistance. And we are committed to continue the fight on your behalf and with you. Merci en pile. Bon Dieu bénino.
Thank you so much. Before I turn to Naomie, I also want to say there is life even in chaos, y'all. I think that, we're sitting with, we don't exist to hide and be in a closet, to let fear paralyze us. And so in the moment, we're trying to hold multiple truths, but I don't want to leave this conversation with folks feeling doom and gloom. We also know that in community, there's power. And so again, if you're not a part of an organization, there are organizations that are here. Check in with any of us. We can connect you so that you can have a community that you can talk about these things with, but also have fun with, right? In the ways that you can. Thank you so much for this time. I'm going to pass to Naomie, who's going to give us our call to action and close us out.
Merci en pile, Sandra. Merci, 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 mesdames, parce que ça n'a travail à faire, c'est vraiment son travail, c'est travail ciel là qu'on a fait. Gerline, m'envie de dire merci parce que nous connaissons que pas tout bien, malgré ça, you showed up. Et au bas, nous vraiment bon conseil. Merci en pile pour tout le travail qu'on a fait. Nous connaissons, on a fait gros travail pour représenter la communauté nous. Hein? Merci. Et puis, Patricia, à la dernière minute, on dit oui, on changé, ou changer horaire, ou juste pour des cas présents, pour des cas aider nous avec conversation ça, en conversation qui est vraiment nécessaire. So, merci un pile de présence, Patricia. Et Shirley, merci d'être aidé nous comprendre gravité situation pour famille avec ti moun qui dans communauté nous. C'est on bagay me penser faut ta font l'autre programme sur ça et n'a discuter de ça l'autre fois parce que c'est vraiment important à faire gang redesignation nan pour ta font ti approfondir li pour nous plus bien comprendre parce que son bagay qui est totalement nouveau pour nous haïtiens. So rete branché et Sandra ou c'est moun pa nous. Merci, excellent et facilitatrice de conversation ça. Et puis, on t'y pensait à Franck Julien qui n'est pas de cas avec nous à Soya. So, bon, prochaine fois, nous souhaitons la cas là. Christelle avec Daniel qui t'a aidé nous avec traduction, merci. Et puis, merci à partenaire New York qui c'est Haitian American Foundation for Democracy, Haitian Bridge Alliance, Roots of Development, Université des Atlantes, HSC. Et puis, suivez-nous, nous avons une page YouTube, nous sur Facebook, YouTube avec Instagram parce que nous est là, on peut regarder et vidéo ça yo, sous besoin d'informations. Et puis, la prochaine fois, dans 2 semaines, on va discuter Haiti, just bad neighbors, Haiti advocacy in the context of U.S. interventions since 1915 pour nous discuter comment faire nous arriver dans la situation que nous arrivons là. Et en créole, mauvais voisin, Haïti a cherché route dans le contexte intervention États-Unis qui pas campé depuis 1915. Et nous pas suspendre, nous pas jamais suspendre penser à peuple nous qui a passé un moment très intense et difficile en Haïti, tout partout en Haïti et ici tout. Et puis, n'a dit tout le monde courage, chercher bonne information et puis n'a rencontrons l'autre fois. Bonne nuit.
Bonne nuit. Bye, everyone.